It's Flexin here, and today we're going to be talking about the Weird West. Now, I recently just actually completed this game, just a few hours ago. So, the game's still fresh on my mind. So, the Weird West is an isometrical, not necessarily a twin stick shooter. It's almost more like a Western simulation. Um, So if you're looking for a very action-packed game, it does have action, but it's nothing like Smash TV or anything like that. You're gonna be disappointed if you go in expecting something like that. So before we load up and check out some gameplay, the first thing I want to point out is this game gives you some options in the menu. So you could kind of customize your experience. You could turn off the mini menu. You could change all the way the enemies are, status notifications, quest icon giver. You could turn it all off. See, see far, near. So you could really change how you want to play it if you want a more of an old school experience versus a new school experience. So let me just load this up. So this is just the start of the game. You're not going to really see any spoilers. I'll talk about the story, but nothing spoiler related. So the first thing we're going to discuss is the gameplay. Now this game, the gameplay in some ways is good, but in a lot of ways it is kind of lackluster. Um, so let's start with the good. The good is it really lets you, it gives you options. You could go in guns blazing, you could go in stealth. So as you can see, you could crouch down, come up on this enemy, and so this is where the game really, yeah, the stealth, you sneak up behind them and hit them, and unfortunately, so let's talk about this. So you get perks. You unlock these as you find them in the game. They are kind of like a collectible thing, but they're not too scarce. You're gonna find plenty. So you'd have to level up this. If you don't have this leveled up and you don't have a good weapon, you're gonna walk up behind someone, hit them in the back of the head. They're not gonna knock out. They're just gonna turn around and start shooting you. So the other thing about stealth, if you're in the bushes, you see the little icon, they can't see you. And that's cool, nothing super deep, but here's the challenge. The body system. So you pick up the body and you're like, I'm going to hide this guy. And you put him in the bushes and you think they wouldn't be able to detect him. Unfortunately, the enemies will. If he's in their line of sight, they will see through him. In fact, half the time they will see through walls and see the dead body. I'm not sure why that is. I hope it gets fixed later on. I know the developers are still patching the game and actually making new content. So all my gripes with this game, if you're watching this 6 months from now, a year from now, they might be gone and it might be a way better experience. So yeah, now it's going to talk about stealth. We already went through that. So the gunplay. You get several different guns. It is tight. You get slow-mo like this. That is super cool. I died because I'm not very good. But yeah, or no, he died. I'm sorry. Yeah, so that's just awesome. That's some of the best thing. Like, look at this. It's so Max Payne in just this view. You could do it over and over again. It really helps. In fact, when you aim down the sights, you can even put it in slow-mo if you want to slow down the combat a little bit. And, so the combat itself, get out here, birds. The combat itself is so much fun. It is super fun. It's just a blast. My only gripe with it is there are times where it's so chaotic, there's explosions going off, and you could just randomly die, and that's not fun. The other thing is you get companions, and it's not like a lot of CRPGs. Your companions are completely AI controlled, and boy, they need work. If you're playing on an easier difficulty, it's not too bad, but if you up it, they're just gonna die. It's almost worth not having them, or just picking companions that are cannon fodder that you're expecting to die instantly. The only thing I will say that's a big plus to them is they do give you more inventory slots, because they have their own little inventory. Also, there we go. Also, when you go into stealth, they crouch down and no one can see them. They won't get detected. It looks kind of goofy, but I'd rather have the game do that than have you get caught constantly because your AI is just dumb. So you do get other weapons. Let's equip. Cool. It's kind of like a the wheel system, like Doom, and I think the new Wolfenstein did this. Is really popular with newer games. Yeah, so get all this, come down here. Now let's see if we can stealth this guy now that we got a weapon, see what it does. Oh, there's two of them. So there is the alert, see the question mark, the alert system and stuff. Let's just take them out. Came out. There we go. Get out of here. So you get all sorts of neat stuff in this game. It's not just a shooter, it's really action. You could cook food to get your health back and all sorts of fun. So that's the combat. It's a blast to play. The controls aren't super tight, but they're good enough, I would guess. Honestly, the combat's really mediocre. It's nothing special, but it's not game breaking enough where you're gonna be like, it's so bad I can't play it anymore. So now let's talk about the world building, the world. Okay, so the map gets bigger as you go. And as you could travel to different sites and you see your character walk across the map. In fact, let's just do this now. You gotta go to the edge of the map. So when you're traveling, you come across random encounters. And unfortunately, they're fun for the first couple hours, but when you're 10 hours in, it just gets old. You're trying to get to point A to point B, and like a random animal stops you and just wants to fight. So yeah, here's the travel right here. You go down, and sometimes you get lucky, straight shot. But as the map gets bigger, and you unlock more locations and you're backtracking, the last thing you want to do is deal with those encounters. They get really, really tedious. So yeah, it's just not fun at all. That's pretty much the worst about the game. Besides, there are a couple bugs, nothing groundbreaking, and as I said, the developers are constantly patching it. In fact, right now it's April 23rd. Just a couple days ago, they had a big patch fixing bugs. So now let's go into what really makes this game special: the world building. You're in the Wild West, and it's not just a cowboy thing. There's cults, cannibals, werewolves, pig monsters, all sorts of neat stuff. I really haven't played a game like this in a long time. In fact, probably ever. With the way the world is, how unique it is. I mean, you could kill entire towns. You could kill any NPC, and the story doesn't stop. It keeps going. It doesn't lock you in. It does not soft lock you. And you could really just play the game and have fun with it, and play any way you want. You could be an outlaw and kill anyone you see. You could be the hero and save all the towns. It really has a lot of options, and it's not the simple dialogue wheel options that you see in a lot of newer RPGs or newer games of this type. It's how you play. That's just so cool. I can't say nothing about it. As for the story's fantastic. It's just very unique, very different. and all sorts of fun stuff. So that right there, I mean, those two things make the game what it is. So as you play, you find out, you play through each of these 5 campaigns, you could kind of see the silhouettes of the characters. And you hop between them, and they each have their story, and they all interconnect. It's just super cool. The only downside of this system is when you swap to this character, she goes back to where she started, and you start him with a fresh inventory. None of your guns transfer over. You have to go all the way and find her, recruit her as a follower, and transfer your equipment. I don't like that. I think honestly they should have just moved the gear, going like kept the same inventory. It's not it's not hard to go back and get her or progress, but it's just something that's tedious that should not be there. Also, these skills right here will transfer over to every character as you level them up. You don't have to worry about that. But these skills, these abilities, all your gun skills, every character, he starts fresh. So all of this, you have to re-unlock it all. And that, I kind of see why they did that, but at the same time, it's just like, come on. Like, if you want to have fun with the game, I don't personally like that, but it's not a groundbreaker. As for these skills over here, these are the character skills. So every character that you play as has a different form. And honestly, if you invest into these, you could unlock them really early on. It's not hard to find these points, and that's what makes the characters unique and different. If you ignore this, they all kind of play the same, and I would highly recommend taking advantage of their character skills. Also, when you recruit them as a follower in their AI, the AI will have access to these skills. So these characters make really powerful companions. So you could do that. On the other hand, each story kind of has companions that are supposed to go along with that character and add a little bit more background to the story and a little bit like side dialogue and gossiping between the characters. So it's kind of your preference and your choice. Um, so yeah, the world building, the story, those are the highlights. As for the game overall, right now it's on Game Pass. If you have Game Pass, I highly recommend checking it out. When I started playing it, I beat it in a couple of days. The story's probably going to take you 25 hours, depending if you blitz through it, if you do the side content. Um, and I had fun with it. As for buying it, it's a $40 game. Personally, right now, I would wait for a sale, unless you really love these type of games. It just, the quirks in it need to be fixed. Um, the other thing is, most of it is not voice acted. I would say 90% is not voice acted. Once in a while, the narrator comes in and he'll voice act a little bit. As for the characters, none of them have voice acting. One thing I really hope they do, and I think Disco Elysium did this, I hope they do like a final cut version, a director's cut version, and the developers come back and add full voice acting, fix a lot of the bugs, make the controls a little bit tighter. If it had that, this game would be amazing. It'd be really, really high up there. So those are my thoughts overall. If you guys want to tell me your thoughts down in the comments, I'd greatly appreciate it. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks. Bye.